6 Secrets to a Happy Relationship. True love is born from understanding. Buddha. In a world where relationships often become a battlefield of expectations, we forget that love is not about possession, but perception. Not about changing the other, but learning to see them as they are. Today, on Dharma Pulse, we'll explore 6 timeless Buddhist principles that reveal the art of peaceful and lasting connection. As you listen, ask yourself, which of these truths is missing in your relationships right now? Share your thoughts in the comments, because every realization you share may awaken someone else's heart. 1. Understand and accept differences. Every relationship is a meeting between 2 worlds, 2 minds shaped by different experiences, energies, and perceptions. Buddhism and mindfulness remind us that no 2 people can ever think, feel, or react in the exact same way, and that peace is born not from sameness, but from awareness. The moment we try to make another person mirror us, we step into an illusion. We stop loving who they are and start loving who we want them to be. True love begins when we release the silent demand that says, "You must understand me in my way." It is replaced by a calm recognition. You are a different universe, and that is beautiful. When we practice mindfulness in relationships, we start to see how much of our suffering comes from resistance. We don't suffer because others are difficult. We suffer because we expect them to match our inner blueprint. The Buddha taught that you only lose what you cling to. The more tightly we cling to our ideas of right and wrong, the more we lose the freedom to see clearly. Understanding differences doesn't mean agreeing with everything. It means holding space for another's truth while remaining rooted in your own. It means listening without judgment, observing without control, and allowing silence to speak where words fail. Energy follows attention. When we fixate on what separates us, the energy becomes fragmented. But when we focus on understanding, energy flows again. Just like 2 musical notes vibrating in harmony, 2 people aligned in awareness create a resonance that heals both. Buddhism teaches that this alignment is not created through force, but through acceptance. To accept does not mean to submit. It means to recognize that harmony cannot exist without contrast. Day and night, yin and yang, masculine and feminine difference is the law of the universe. To fight it is to fight reality itself. Every disagreement becomes a mirror reflecting the parts of ourselves we have yet to understand. When someone's behavior triggers anger or disappointment, mindfulness turns the question inward. What within me is being shown right now? The one who observes their own reaction begins to awaken. The one who blames remains asleep. The practice of mindful love is therefore not about changing the other, but about awakening to the patterns of attachment that bind the self. This is how spiritual growth happens quietly, through awareness, not argument. In the language of energy, each soul vibrates on its own frequency. Trying to make someone match yours only creates resistance. But when you learn to stay still within your vibration, to embody peace instead of chasing control, the other begins to harmonize naturally. Acceptance raises the vibration of both. That is why, in Buddhist understanding, love is not a desire, but an awakening. It's the realization that understanding is a higher form of intimacy than agreement. You can walk side by side without merging into one. You can love deeply without needing to possess. A relationship grounded in mindfulness becomes a living meditation, a place where differences no longer divide but teach. Each conflict becomes a lesson in letting go. Each silence becomes a space for compassion to breathe. And in that sacred awareness, love transforms from emotion into presence, from attachment into understanding, from control into peace. Do you agree that true love begins with understanding? If you do, write it in the comments below. I honor our differences, and that is how love grows. 2. Practice physical kindness. Love that only speaks but never acts slowly loses its soul. Buddhist wisdom teaches that true love breathes through deeds, not declarations. Every small gesture of handing your partner a cup of tea, helping with the dishes, or resting your hand gently on their back becomes a silent language of care. These are not trivial habits. They are living forms of meditation, reminders that compassion is a verb. When you practice physical kindness, you bring mindfulness into motion, transforming ordinary routines into sacred acts of love. Most people think relationships are sustained by words or grand gestures, but in truth, they live and die in the quiet spaces of daily life. A relationship weakens not because of arguments, but because of forgetfulness, forgetting to notice, to help, to touch with presence. The Buddha taught that kindness is not just an emotion. It is a discipline, a daily practice of seeing the other as yourself. Yet we often give our politeness to strangers while withholding tenderness from those we love. It's easy to say, "I love you," but far harder to show love when you're tired, when you disagree, or when you feel unseen. That is where love is truly tested. When you still choose to be gentle, still choose to care, you transcend the ego's need to win. This is the essence of meditation in a relationship, being fully awake in the moments when your ego wants to close its eyes. Ask yourself, how often do you use silence or withdrawal as punishment? How often do you count what you give, measuring affection like a transaction? These small acts of withholding may seem insignificant, but they slowly drain the energy of love. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that generosity is not weakness, it is power. When you give without demand, your heart becomes spacious, fearless, free. You realize that love is not about balance sheets of effort, but about flow. When you help your partner without expecting anything back, you dissolve the illusion of separateness. Their happiness becomes your happiness, their peace, your peace. True intimacy begins when love stops being a negotiation and becomes a meditation. Every time you offer a hug without words, every time you quietly take responsibility without resentment, you are expanding love's consciousness. Physical kindness is spiritual training. It teaches patience, humility, and empathy far better than theory ever could. It grounds the lofty idea of compassion into something tangible, into the way you touch, the way you listen, the way you care. When you wash the dishes mindfully, when you listen without interrupting, when you hold space instead of rushing to fix, you are practicing a profound form of awareness. This is what it means to bring meditation into love, to make every movement, every gesture, a sacred act of connection. You stop seeking perfection in your partner and begin perfecting your presence with them. Love then becomes less about finding the right person and more about being the right energy. As Buddhist wisdom reveals, happiness in a relationship is not built on passion alone, but on the quiet rhythm of daily kindness. When you treat love as a living meditation, every small act of service, every moment of tenderness, And every conscious touch becomes a step toward awakening, not just together, but within. 3. Speak with verbal kindness. Words are living energy. Every syllable that leaves your lips carries a vibration that either heals or harms, builds or breaks. When you speak with verbal kindness, you are not merely choosing soft words. You are practicing the highest form of spirituality, the art of transforming raw emotion into conscious energy. Harsh words are like invisible daggers that pierce the heart and linger in the soul long after the noise fades, while gentle words move like water, cooling the fires of anger and softening the soil where love can grow again. The Buddha taught that better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace, reminding us that true communication is not about winning an argument, but creating a sacred space where both hearts can feel safe to unfold. Kind speech is a mirror of your inner state. When your energy is turbulent, your words become weapons. When your heart is calm, your voice becomes medicine. Each moment of tension in a relationship is an invitation to choose awareness over reaction. Before you speak, pause and breathe. Listen not only to what your partner is saying, but also to what your ego wants to say. That small space of silence between impulse and expression is where love lives. It is where you decide whether to feed conflict or to heal it. To speak kindly is to hold that silence and turn it into understanding, to let your words rise from compassion rather than pride. Every relationship is an energetic exchange, a dance of vibrations. When you speak with tenderness, you tune your energy to harmony, and your partner feels it as safety. When you shout, criticize, or mock, your words become sharp frequencies that disturb the entire emotional field. Energy never lies, even if you say the right thing with the wrong tone. Your vibration exposes the truth of your heart. This is why mindfulness in speech is not about politeness. It is about energetic honesty. It means aligning your words with the calm and compassion you wish to experience. It means becoming aware that every word you release into the world carries your spiritual signature. Verbal kindness is not weakness. It is strength, disguised as softness. Anyone can speak in anger, but it takes spiritual maturity to speak with grace when the ego is burning for revenge. To practice this is to step into the deeper dimension of love, where understanding replaces control, and listening becomes an act of healing. When you speak from love, even your silence communicates peace. When you speak from ego, even your sweetness carries tension. Words are spells. They create worlds. They can turn a house into a home, or love into loneliness. If you wish to nurture happiness, speak as if every sentence plants a seed, because it does. Relationships thrive when words become bridges instead of walls. A simple, "I understand," spoken with sincerity, can heal more than 1,000 explanations. As Rumi said, "Raise your words, not your voice." It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder. Your voice is not just sound, it is frequency. It carries your energy into the soul of another. Use it to awaken, not to wound. Speak slowly, speak consciously, and let your words be guided by empathy. Because when you master the language of kindness, you master the art of connection. And in that sacred harmony, love ceases to be an effort and becomes a natural expression of your healed spirit. Comment below, "I speak with kindness and peace," if you're ready to bring more compassion into your words and harmony into your relationships. Your voice has the power to heal Let it begin today. 4. Cultivate mental kindness. True kindness is not a gesture, not a smile, not even a word. It is a vibration born in the silence of your mind. Buddhism teaches that everything begins with thought. Every emotion, every action, every destiny arises first in consciousness. When your thoughts are steeped in goodwill, your words become gentle rivers, and your actions turn into bridges of peace. But when your mind is filled with resentment or judgment, even silence can wound. This is why mindfulness is not simply awareness. It is sacred self-discipline. It is the art of seeing your thoughts before they become storms, of softening them with compassion before they manifest into suffering. Like tending to a delicate flame, you learn to protect the warmth of kindness in the winds of daily life. The mind is a garden, and every intention is a seed. When you water it with loving awareness, harmony grows naturally without effort. But if you allow anger or pride to rule, weeds of discontent soon overtake the soil. Buddhism calls this metta the practice of loving kindness. It is not weakness, it is mastery. To wish well for others, even those who have hurt you, is not to excuse their actions, but to refuse to let their darkness become yours. Hatred never ceases by hatred, but only by love, the Buddha said. This truth is not poetic, it is energetic. When you hold a kind thought, you change the frequency of your entire being. The energy you emit silently reshapes your world. Kindness of the mind is an invisible offering. When you think of someone with compassion, even in their absence, you send them a light they can feel, but not name. That light ripples outward, dissolving tension, bridging distances, mending unseen wounds. This is how inner peace becomes outer harmony. Mindfulness allows you to recognize when your energy turns sharp, when the ego whispers to defend, when the past resurfaces to poison the present. Each time you choose softness over reaction, awareness over impulse, you rise above the unconscious cycle that binds most hearts in conflict. You begin to see that everyone's behavior is the reflection of their inner weather. When you meet their storms with calm, you transform not only the relationship, but also the atmosphere around you. In this way, mental kindness becomes an act of liberation. You no longer live as a mirror of others' energy. You become the source of your own frequency. You stop asking, "Why can't they be like me?" and start understanding they are as they are because they suffer as I do. Such understanding is love in its purest form. It is not sentimental, it is alchemical. It transmutes pain into wisdom, reaction into awareness, and the ordinary mind into an enlightened one. When your thoughts are kind, your words no longer need to be perfect. They carry a resonance that hearts recognize instantly. Your very presence begins to heal others, not because you are trying to, but because you have become harmony itself. This is the hidden power of mindfulness. It turns every moment into a meditation, every thought into a chance to choose peace. When you guard the temple of your mind, you protect the whole world. For what you think, you become. What you become, you radiate. And what you radiate, you attract. True kindness, then, is not something you give. It is something you are. Leave a like and subscribe to Dharma Pulse. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss new insights like this. Keep spreading compassion wherever you go, and comment below, "I choose peace and mental kindness every day." 5. Share generously without reservation. To share generously without reservation is to live the essence of Buddhist wisdom, where love is not a possession, but a continuous act of giving. Every time you offer something, your time, your understanding, your compassion, you are not losing anything. You are expanding the space in which love can breathe. Most relationships begin to decay, not because of lack of love, but because of the fear of giving too much. People cling to their emotions, guard their energy, and withhold their kindness as if love were a limited resource that must be saved for later. But in truth, love multiplies through the act of sharing. The Buddha taught that generosity is the first step toward liberation. For in giving, we loosen the chains of attachment that keep us trapped in the illusion of separation. When you give sincerely, without hidden motives or expectations, you cleanse your mind of selfishness and open your heart to a deeper gratitude. In meditation, we often learn that what we cling to controls us. When you meditate on the nature of giving, you see that generosity is not about material wealth. It is about energy. A smile, a gentle word, a quiet moment of presence can carry more weight than any gift. Each act of sharing is an invisible thread, weaving two souls together, dissolving the barriers built by ego. Relationships flourish when both partners understand this sacred rhythm: to give without counting, to receive without demanding. The more you share, the less you fear loss. And in that fearlessness, intimacy blossoms naturally. Generosity is not a performance, it is a silent meditation in motion. When you give with awareness, the act itself becomes a form of mindfulness. You begin to notice how your partner's joy echoes within you, how gratitude becomes a shared vibration that nourishes both hearts. This is why, in Buddhism, giving is not merely a virtue, but a spiritual practice. It shapes the mind, refines the heart, and transforms ordinary love into sacred connection. To share your energy sincerely is to tell the universe, I trust in abundance. You no longer cling to outcomes because you understand that nothing you give is ever truly lost. It simply changes form and returns in ways you cannot predict. The deepest form of giving is not through gifts or gestures, but through presence. When you listen fully, when you forgive, when you offer your calm in moments of conflict, you are giving something priceless, your peace. And that peace, once shared, multiplies. The more you practice generosity, the more you realize that love is not about possession or control. It is about flow. You become like a river, ever moving, ever replenishing, never stagnant. As the Buddha said, if beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given. Every act of generosity plants a seed of harmony, and when you nurture that seed with mindfulness, it grows into trust, compassion, and joy. True happiness in a relationship comes when both souls stop measuring and start flowing, when giving becomes as natural as breathing. Through generosity, meditation becomes life itself, and life becomes an endless offering of love. 6. Be virtuous and aligned in purpose. To be virtuous and aligned in purpose means living and loving with integrity so pure that your energy itself becomes a form of truth. Relationships thrive not on fleeting emotions, but on the steady rhythm of shared values. When honesty, loyalty, and discipline form the foundation of love, the bond becomes unshakable. Like a tree rooted deeply in the earth, without integrity, love is like a house built on sand, beautiful at first glance, but doomed to collapse when life's storms arrive. In Buddhism, virtue is not about following rules, but about alignment When your thoughts, words, and actions harmonize, your spirit emits a frequency of peace and healing that others can feel. Integrity turns ordinary connections into spiritual ones, where trust flows effortlessly because nothing is hidden. The Buddha said, 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. Likewise, no matter how we try to conceal it, dishonesty eventually reveals itself, and when it does, it erodes the energy that holds love together. Each lie is like a crack in glass. It may start small, but it grows until the reflection of trust shatters. Virtue calls for courage, the courage to be transparent, to speak truth even when silence feels easier, to choose understanding over pride. In relationships built on virtue, partners do not seek to possess each other. They seek to awaken each other. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every disagreement an opportunity to grow in patience and compassion. 2 souls walking the path of virtue are not merely lovers. They are fellow travelers on a spiritual pilgrimage, mirrors reflecting both light and shadow. Through this reflection, each learns to heal the parts of themselves that fear, doubt, or cling. Love in its highest form is not attachment. It is liberation through awareness. When 2 people share the same moral compass and move toward a common goal, their energies merge like 2 rivers becoming one. This alignment brings harmony not by control, but by resonance. Instead of pulling each other in opposite directions, they move as one flow, stable, peaceful, and purposeful. Shared purpose transforms love from an emotional transaction into a sacred collaboration. Together, they become co-creators of a spiritual life, not merely partners surviving the world, but beings uplifting each other's consciousness. Yet alignment is not a one-time achievement. It is a daily practice. You must ask yourself constantly, are my choices aligned with my higher purpose, or are they feeding my ego? Ego wants to be right. Purpose wants to understand. Ego demands power. Purpose seeks peace. When you begin to act from purpose, your energy softens and your presence heals. Humility replaces defensiveness. Listening replaces judgment, and connection replaces control. The relationship becomes a living meditation, a quiet temple where love itself is the teacher. In that sacred stillness, healing naturally unfolds. The energy between 2 aligned souls becomes medicine, transforming old wounds into wisdom, pain into compassion, and fear into trust. The masculine and feminine energies stop competing and start dancing, creating a rhythm that heals not just the couple, but everyone touched by their vibration. As Lao Tzu said, when there is no competition, all are content. When love is no longer a battle of egos, but a harmony of spirits, peace becomes the natural state. To live virtuously within a relationship is to make your love a spiritual path. It is to let your words carry truth, your actions carry kindness, and your energy carry light. It is to understand that love is not found. It is created, refined, and sustained through the daily practice of integrity and alignment. When 2 hearts live this way, they do not simply love each other, they elevate each other, becoming living proof that when virtue meets purpose, love becomes eternal energy. To affirm your dedication to living with virtue and purpose, take a mindful step today. Comment below, I live with virtue and purpose, to honor your journey and remind others that true happiness begins when our hearts and actions move in harmony with truth. In the end, these 6 Buddhist principles remind us that love is not about possession, but understanding, not about control, but compassion, A truly happy relationship begins when we learn to accept differences, communicate mindfully, and give without expecting in return. Every moment with your partner is a chance to practice patience, gratitude, and awareness. So, which of these teachings speaks most to your heart today? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue growing together on this path of mindful love. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dharma Pulse, where wisdom meets daily life.